I could do that. Why modern society undervalues artists. Before we start, a little word about when art should be considered a luxury and when it should be considered a necessity. Art was something that was practiced and admired, a luxury at some point. But nowadays we find society looking down at artists and their work. So what do the two stereotypes of the hungry artist and the random person in the museum saying, "I could do that," have in common? When does art become a luxury? And when is it considered a necessity? In my opinion, art becomes a luxury at the point where you buy or commission a piece for your own. But at the same time, it is indeed a necessity for educational purposes. And honestly, I think it should be a human right that the country you live in even supports. Art is a form of communication, the medium being the artwork. This form of communication does not only appear between two human beings, but hundreds, thousands, maybe even billions at once. It is a way to integrate yourself in a culture, in a society. Not letting someone watch the paintings in a gallery excludes them from society, communication and education. That is the point where I think art should be considered a necessity rather than a luxury. Education should be free, as well as the ability to integrate in a culture or society. Especially when you're thinking about all the children and possible future artists. On the other hand, art can definitely become a luxury when you're collecting pieces or commissioning your own ideas. Art is in the ownership of the artist or public ownership unless it's officially bought and paid for by someone else. Nobody forces you to buy or commission a work of art. Be aware that owning or commissioning art is definitely a luxury, whilst just looking at it should be more accessible, so either free or really low cost. Modern ways of showcasing your artwork or look at other people's art include galleries, as well as Instagram, YouTube, etc. Hungry creatives. So why does the image of artists get worse if art was once considered a luxury and owning art still is? I think this question has a lot to do with the topic I'll talk about next. The "I could do that" people. But to really understand that and understand why society views artists so badly, I think we need to understand how artists worked in the past first. In the past, it was a common thing to learn by the masters. If you were born into an artist family, you'd become an apprentice for years to learn the skills you'd need to master. Apprentices were usually supporting their master to finish big commissions. They got food and a place to sleep in exchange for their work. And by that they often lived with a mentor. Obviously, they weren't good from the beginning. A matter of fact that didn't change throughout the years is talent isn't really a thing. Even if it does exist, which we don't know by the way. It doesn't bring you anywhere if you don't learn and practice. That's why the apprentices started off by painting small, unimportant background details. Their mentor worked with them. They understood what the apprentice needs to grow and helped them achieving this growth. Nowadays, though, there is no apprenticeship for beginner artists. If you aren't already pretty good, no one will teach you without demanding to getting paid for it. Art school debt. And even if you are already pretty good at your craft, you'll be lucky to get an unpaid apprentice position because paid positions are only for the true masters. But to become a master of your craft, you obviously need to learn and practice a lot. So either you're lucky and born into an artist or very rich family, or you'll have a very hard time earning enough money to live off. Most beginner artists, just like me, work a regular job besides, or put time into learning something else that pays the bills. And from experience, I can tell you that's a pain in the ass if you always wish to be somewhere else and actually learn about art by someone who has, well, quote unquote, mastered it. And honestly, I think that's why so many artists begin having success when they're like 30 or something. Because society thinks it's about talent and tells the majority of aspiring artists to stop because they don't have it. But truth is, those people don't know a thing about art. That's exactly why they're telling you to quit it or that it's just a hobby. I have a small personal story here. When I was younger, I wanted to join an art contest. And I had a very close relative laughing at me saying, "You can do it as a hobby, but honey, you don't have talent. Art is only something to achieve for the very few of our society. You are nothing special, so don't put the effort in." Obviously, that crushed 12-year-old me, especially hearing something like that from the person that was closest to me at that time. And I believed it for a good amount of years, but at some point I started to realize that I just loved art. I loved it so much I would give my life for it. And that's when I said to myself, no matter what, I'll always be creating. I'll put as much energy into learning and practicing as I can. I love drawing, so I will never stop anyway. And here I am. Between then and now, a few years have gone by, a few things happened which caused me having art block very often. But after moving out, I've been working towards my goal harder than ever before. Because no one can stop me anymore. No one can laugh at me, my paintings, and my dreams anymore. After moving out, I came to the conclusion that I needed to believe in myself now. I didn't have much emotional support other than myself, but for the first time in forever, I also didn't have someone putting me down all day long. But there's another major twist to this story. Having more time for myself and being motivated by the artist I love, well, and the anime blue period, not gonna lie, I started studying. For the first time, it wasn't just I'm drawing, but I was actually trying to achieve something in my images. I started learning basic anatomy and watched color theory videos all night long. I was reading books about aesthetics and PDF files about the work of other artists. And even if I'm not where I want to be one day, I've definitely gotten closer. And at some point in your journey, you realize that there is no strict goal. Art is a never-ending journey. You can choose your paths and direction, but you will never arrive anywhere because there's always more to learn, explore, and experience. The major twist to my story arrived via phone message on a Saturday evening, after I posted a finished work in my story. The person who put me down for not being talented enough and dreaming too big sent an answer to my post. I quote, "Wow, you're so talented," with some emoji behind it. Honestly, I didn't know what to answer, because after all these years, I've realized two things. One, talent, if it does even exist, doesn't matter. Second, what other people think shouldn't ultimately change your own journey, especially when they have no clue what they're talking about. It's not even good. I could do that. I could explode every time I hear someone saying this in a museum. Especially because most people saying things like that aren't as well educated about art as they think they are. In my experience, the more you engage with art, the more you'll be able to see in it. Many works of art aren't only the piece itself, it's their history and origin. Take the Mona Lisa or Klein's Blue for an example. Obviously, Da Vinci was a great painter, and it's no surprise to me or anyone else that he's famous even until today. But the reason his Mona Lisa became the most popular one is because of its origins and stories surrounding it. I won't go into much detail here, but let's just say back then the Mona Lisa was a great mystery that was said to even hypnotize the viewer. Among some other famous places, it was part of Napoleon's bedroom before it got showcased publicly. The point where it got to the fame it has reached today was way after Da Vinci's death though. In 1911, a man named Vincenzo Perugia, a worker at the Louvre, attempted to steal the painting, which created public attention and led to mass visits to the museum. The shock around the theft led thousands of people storm into the Louvre to stare at the space where once the Mona Lisa was placed. Well, obviously, the Mona Lisa is far out of a non-artist's reach. Only delusional people would state a it's not even good, I could do that, in front of the Mona Lisa. But another great piece of art has fallen victim to this kind of behavior by non-artists. The famous white canvas. Right. White, not blank canvas. I think this white canvas is one of the pieces of art that caused the most disagreement in online spaces. Because this canvas, and minimalism in general, is often about the idea of something, the piece of art becomes the object itself. What you see is what you see, is a quote by Frank Stella that describes this best. A piece of minimalist art is the object in itself, not an imitation of reality. Furthermore, a white canvas is a difficult idea to work with. As there is no obvious touching point with other people or society, you have to work really hard to get something out of it. But this hard work will pay off because the canvas is not just a white canvas, but an object of art that has its own texture, its own tint of white, and its own meaning. Because what you see is what you see. To me, that's where a piece of art truly comes to life. I can't talk for everybody now, but a piece of art that can hold itself by not telling all its secrets, but just by being and finding purpose in itself just as it is, seems almost alive to me. It feels spiritual. It resonates with my human experience of being alive. I can just be me in every aspect of my life. I don't need to explain myself because I am what I am. An object of atoms in this universe, and no definition by anyone else will change who or what I am. Minimalist art has a lot more to offer than it seems like. And that's especially where the magic lies. It doesn't need to pretend to be something else than just itself. And by that, the painting has a deep philosophical and spiritual meaning, at least to me. If you don't feel that way, that is totally fine. You can be your own as well as the object of art is its own. It's the purest form of expression to just be ourselves. And by agreeing to that, you can't deny that minimalist painters have a point in what they do. Because you disagreeing and not buying a white canvas is fulfilling the exact purpose the object has to offer. Okay, well, I might have gotten just a little philosophical here. But in the end, just remember, you don't need to like anything just because it's famous. At the same time, it's an absurd procedure to judge a work that you don't even try to understand by the words, I could do that. Because there are two problems with this statement. First off, you didn't. That's a matter of fact. Of course you could do that. As long as you're alive, you're just as capable to create art, write novels, or record music as everyone else. But the ideas need to work their way through your head onto a canvas, sheet of paper, or audio file. As long as you never attempt to create something, you will never create anything. And if you didn't create until today, then there are two options. Admit that you were wrong and start your own thing, or stay in the position where you are and keep on living knowing that you were wrong. Problem number 2 being, people really underestimate the work it takes to create a piece of art, often due to a lack of their own experience, and that does not only include the skill to mix the right colors and put down the right strokes, but also the work that goes into deciding what even is the right color. Where are the strokes located that are right for my piece of art? Every piece of art is just as unique as the artists themselves. To make choices is a process that involves a personal vision, the understanding to choose the best options for supporting your ideas, and the skill to actually follow through with them. So next time you catch yourself thinking, I could do that, maybe think twice about why you didn't. And if you want to change that, it's a valid option to paint your own version of the Mona Lisa if you're unsatisfied with the one by Da Vinci. Try painting your own versions of pieces you find stupid to bring your own meaning to it, and make it something mean for you. This can help you find out what you desire and maybe even understand the original artist a little better. Experiencing art becomes better with every piece you look at. You can never experience the whole, because if anyone, only the original artist can, and even they re-experience their art once it's finished. Even they learn something more about the process and themselves after it's done. No matter what you think about other artists, it's always a great idea to start creating for yourself. Art is a journey to yourself, and an open door to understanding other artists and even non-artists. If you're truly interested in art, then keep engaging in it. The more you engage in it, the better you'll understand what you're engaging in. Thank you so much for watching my second video on this channel. If you didn't know yet, I joined the Alphabet Superset challenge. Check it out if you're any kind of creative yourself, because it's truly been inspiring to me until now. I'll do my best to post a new video next week, although the semester started again and I don't know how well I'll be able to handle the workflow. Maybe I'll do a new video every 2 weeks or so I don't have to stress about it too much and you guys get quality content rather than quantity. Anyway, I'm posting on Instagram almost every week, so if you want to follow me there, the username is lorari_art. If you enjoyed the video, I'll be happy about every like and subscribe. Feel free to share your thoughts about abstract art and the "I could do that" people down below in the comments. Have a sweet day and remember to stay hydrated. Till next time, Inklings!